Hey groupers, Pastor Marshall here. Pretty exciting to talk about the resurrection. I hope that you're ready to dig in. I started my message by talking about come from behind victories, comeback stories. I wonder if you have some kind of personal comeback story that you could share with your group. Maybe it is a sports story. Maybe when you were on some sort of sports team, you had some great come from behind victory and you'll just enjoy telling the story. Maybe you have some other kind of comeback story, a vehicle that was dead and you can't believe it, but it kind of rose from the dead back to life and you're driving it now and you can't believe it. Maybe you have something about a relationship, that the relationship was dead and now it's come back to life, it's alive again. I wonder if you'll just share a comeback story with your group and get the ball rolling. Well, how does it make you feel in this story of Lazarus? Jesus waited 4 days before he went to Bethany to raise Lazarus from the dead. How does it make you feel that Jesus tarried for a few more days before he went? Do you remember why I suggested that he did that? I gave you a reason that I believe that he waited those days. And does that justify the delay in your mind? Does the reason that I gave justify the delay? Well, most Jews in Jesus' day believed in the resurrection. They believed that all of the Jews were going to be raised from the dead at the end of the world. And they saved their bones so that they would have bones based on the story of the dry bones, and they saved them. Well, I wonder, what theories have you heard in Christianity about what the resurrection is going to be like? What theories have you heard? And what is your personal conviction? And then, is this a matter of doctrine or is it a matter of opinion? Because that's important as we meet together as a church. Well, then look at verse 25. What does Jesus mean in verse 26, that we will never see death if we believe in him? How can Jesus say that? It seems contradictory. What's he talking about? Now, thinking about us today, what are some of the reasons that people do not believe in the resurrection of Jesus Christ? And how would you respond to their doubts or to their criticisms? Which of the reasons to believe in the historical account of Jesus' resurrection do you think are the most helpful to those who do not believe, and why? Mark gives us 4. He talks about that we know that he was executed on a cross. He says that we know that the correct tomb was empty. He says that Jesus appeared, we know, to more than 500 people, and there were at least 11 resurrection appearances. And then last, the church was founded. The apostles were martyred. And the church still exists. It did not fade away. Of those 4 reasons, which do you think is the most helpful when you're talking to people that have doubts about the resurrection? And then Mark talks to us about the results of the resurrection. And I wonder, which do you think of these 6 things, which do you think is the most neglected or would be the most important for us as Christians to focus on? Mark says that Jesus completed his work. The prophecies were fulfilled. Mark says that Jesus was exalted. He now sits at the right hand of the Father. Mark says that because he's at the right hand of the Father, Jesus is now our advocate. He intercedes for us on the throne. We also now have fellowship with Jesus' sufferings. When we suffer because of God, we have fellowship with Jesus. We identify with him. And we have power through Jesus' Holy Spirit that he sent to us. He had to ascend, he had to go, so the Holy Spirit could come. And we have hope. We think of our own death, and we look forward to our own resurrection. We have hope. These are all results of the resurrection. Which do you think is most often neglected, and which do you think is the most important for us to focus on? Well, what results is, of the results that we talked about, which is the most difficult for you to believe and to live in the light of? Why? Well, every week we talk about our application, and so this week we're just picking one of these 6 things that we have results of the resurrection, and we're just trying to step into that light. Which one have you picked? I hope that you have a great week. I'll see you next week. God bless.